quiet
It's
that we would
dropping.
never know.
Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
I
it's
see a little
happening
badge.
now. Something changed. All right. I think we're on. So, welcome to the July Town Hall of Concrete 5. I got Franz and Andy today. Corvin is out. So, we are making it up as we go. I VJ and talking head all at once. I feel like a little GitHub octopus over here. So, what's up? What have we done? New and news. Let's see. Concrete version 8.5.4 was released since we talked last. I think it is mostly a maintenance release, kind of tightening up some things that perhaps came out in 8.5.3 that weren't quite ready for prime time.
Yes.
Anything else in there you want to talk about, Andy?
No, that's mostly it.
Oh,
Go back and check those release notes now because there are actually some interesting new features that came out semi unintentionally just due to the way that we've been juggling branches. We had the multi-site stuff accidentally enabled and it's not ready yet, so we turned it back off. And it is still slated to come in version 9, definitely coming then. When that thing drops fully and officially. But yeah, definitely check it out. It fixes a few little issues with upgrades and adds some nice stuff. So yeah, it's definitely the version to use for your sites today.
nice. Let's see. Other exciting news. We are cleaning up our case study. So there is a case study section on our homepage. It's pretty buried. And there are some very old case studies in there. And we're like, we probably need to get those cleaned up. And as we started digging in there, we got Gary looking around. He pointed out, this could be a lot better. We've got some really big plans around the new marketplace and a new look and feel for the community site. And that is something we're very excited about doing, but it is also a huge undertaking. And so we have started kind of, the metaphor was like, I think we know where we want to be on the horizon, but could we just clean up our front yard? So there's some pretty significant work going on here around making sexy case studies, a new homepage treatment, kind of everything underneath that solutions drop down on our main page that just kind of falls a little short, and we haven't touched it in years and years. So we're cleaning that up. We're working with a few shops to kind of take case studies that they've done for their work, for their clients using concrete5, obviously, and flush it out to make a really compelling story on the community site. And I think part of that positioning is taking the approach of, look, content management system doesn't dictate the type of site you can build anymore. Maybe 10, 15 years ago when we first started, you could kind of tell even at a glance. You could see, this thing feels like a blog. It's probably built with WordPress, or this thing looks like a news site. I bet you it's Mambo or Joomla. And, I guess the architecture of the CMS would kind of impact what a designer could pull off on a reasonable budget. And so you could tell, even without looking at the source, kind of, I bet you I know what this is built with. That is no longer the case. I mean, the reality is you can build a beautiful looking website with just about any tool set out there if you know how to use it. We're not, feature parity is pretty much across the board. You might have to use a bunch of plugins in WordPress to get what we offer, and same is true with Drupal, but I'm sure they would claim with Gutenberg that they have in context editing too. I don't think it's as graceful to use, but there you go. And I think that's really what the kind of the that real promise around Concrete 5 is look, it is easy to use. So yeah, you can build a beautiful website with anything, but what's it like to manage? What's it like to run? How's that going to feel 4 years from launch, and the client has been in there messing around with stuff? Are they still going to really love editing their website, or is editing the website going to be this necessary evil that happens after all their other marketing and responsibilities are done? That, I believe, is our unique selling proposition. So we're trying to work with our agency friends to take their case studies, which have beautiful websites, but then also show a little bit of, well, what does the editing experience feel like? What about this is really compelling to a client? Do they have a lot of admins and they're enjoying workflow? Is the in-context editing really compelling? Are they using Express in some way? Really to kind of get that message of like, yeah, you can build any site with any CMS, but here's why you should choose concrete5 as the right editing material for your project. That's the message. We could really use your help with some more stories around that. Every month, I say, hey, please submit stuff to our showcase. We've got a new site to show today around Florida energy services. But I'd really love it if we could get a little more information around kind of what it's like to actually edit. How did you chop that theme up into blocks, and what's compelling about that? So keep an eye out for some kind of new positioning from us around that, and yeah, pretty excited. I've not almost showed it to you guys today. I'm very excited about it, but I'm gonna sit on it for a little bit longer. What else is in the news? We are still actively working on version 9. I've got a little video that I threw together that I'll talk over as long as I can figure out the AV on that. We'll get there and show and tell, but that is very much in progress. So if you are looking in GitHub around the activity stuff, we'd love to have your help in there. And there's lots of little cleanup that's happening. There we go. Now let's see if I can. Ooh, oh, don't want to show that. That's my notes. There we go. So, we have gamified the experience of working on an open source project. There are karma points on concrete5.org. You get them for doing stuff, helping people, promoting the project, and working on the core. They accumulate every week. We randomly pick a winner from kind of the top 10 players or so in each category. We give them a free add-on. This week, it's Enkele, it's Windows 2, and Zanweb. Thank you to all of you folks and everybody else down here and even below who has done anything at all to help with the community and the project. We very much appreciate it. So I can turn my screen off. Oh, back to me, and here we go. Additionally, we have a whole bunch of people to thank here. Andy, do you want to do pull requests and I'll do the translation stuff? All right.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, we've had a lot of work done for version 9 and for some other stuff in GitHub during this month. We got some shout outs for Deek87, M. Lokati, Rude Zuderlicht, Sixtomatic, Hamed Daragi, Biplob, OB7, and M. Nakale. And it's funny to see your Karma leaderboard. A lot of these names show up not just in GitHub, but also on the Karma leaderboard. And there's no real, when you get pull requests, it's been on our list forever. When you get pull requests and you don't get karma points, that's something we aim to fix when as our new site rolls out. But it's cool to see that the same community members who are active in GitHub, they're also doing work on the forums. They're promoting this concrete5. That's really cool to see.
Absolutely. Thank you. Documentation updates from AHA235 and Lemon Brain. So thank you for working on the documentation site. And it's been called to my attention that we have neglected to call out and thank our international translators. This is one that we have been blessed by the impressive powers of M. Lokati to kind of build and manage our whole translation stack. So if you go to concrete5.org and you go, I think under community, there's some internationalization stuff that gets you to a translation site. It's a standalone project that basically lets you translate strings into different languages, and then those can be used across the core. And the big picture, maybe other things as well. So I have an intimidating list here of 16,000 translations submitted from Basalaba, and 11,000 some translations from M. Lokati, and 10,000 translations from Flovero, and 5,700 translations from Bitwap, and 2,700 translations from Mar, and these are all in the thousands, so I'm going to stop doing that. But concrete5 Russia, Hazasi, Pedro Pidade, Kirdaz Lopuki, Cats 515, Linuxoid, I don't know, C Seb, Callie, Hippocrate, T. Silberman, Marib, Adroro, Azur, oh man, Actormaz 31, A3020, and Okat. Wow. That's a lot of translations. That is a lot of really hard to pronounce handles that I'm sure I've completely butchered because who knows where you're supposed to put a line break in there. But yeah, I mean that's got to be, just looking at that, that's got to be
That's very
almost
cool.
100,000 strings that people have translated. That is very impressive. So thank you very much for that. Awesome every time we say it, but it is really cool that there's so many people and we're all just kind of making something bigger than each of us here. It's pretty cool. All right. Let's get into the showcase this week. Got my screen looking right. Put this back in here. Boom. All right. So this was submitted to our showcase. It is a energy services company. So think utilities, and utilities, that's a industry. It's a vertical that is good to be able to say, oh yeah, we have success stories in the utility space. So this is Florida. What is it? Florida something or other, energy services. And they do lighting and gas and all sorts of stuff. And I've taken a quick glance around this site. I don't have as much of kind of how it works behind the scenes as I'd like. I do see this guy. I bet you he's in this deck because he shows up all the time. Somewhere in here, I saw what looked to be John the Fish's tabs. Where'd those go? Oh, there we go. Little magic tab action, I bet.
Nice.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Downloading a case study PDF. Didn't want to do that. So, a very functional, fast loading, attractive. It's not the most complicated site on earth, but I bet you it's doing a really good job of delivering that information to the people who are looking for it. And I bet you it's pretty easy to train a bunch of marketing managers at a utility company how to keep their website up to date. I can imagine that being able to actually go to one of these pages and add some bullets without having to search around and figure out where it is in a huge sea of live and draft-based articles would be really compelling. So yeah.
Yeah, and once again, we see the instance of expandable, collapsible accordions and some kind of a document library.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a resource library. It's just, these are problems that everyone seems to be using concrete5 to solve.
Yep, that is true. This came to us from Starmark, agency in Florida. Not going to bother showing this website too much because you used the wrong platform to build it. But thank you for submitting this delightful site over here, the Florida Energy Services, built with concrete5, utility company, looking good.
Nice.
Got a question because I am actually multitasking that well.
Oh, nice.
Do we have any success stories around financial services? Talking about utilities here. What about banks and stuff? Sure. Banks and financial folks love concrete5. So one that I can tell you right off the bat is Sun Federal, credit union that all this is built with concrete5. Okay, close. I know because we host this one. Partner of ours built this. It's a credit union, so it's very friendly. I'm a member. Fist pump. And they are obviously concerned about compliance and security. So we host this one, and we do so in an ISO 27001 compliant environment, and try to get ahead of any concerns that they might have. And then we kind of empower the agency to be able to do the design and content related stuff for them. Another one off the top of my head would be Mira Assets, but I don't have the URL in front of me. So if someone in Slack wants to dig up the Mira Asset site and shoot that to me, I would do that, but don't have that ready because it just came in right now. So yes, banking, absolutely. This is just one of many. I feel like we've done a couple other banking sites, and I can put together a longer list after this. Let's see, forging right ahead. I wanted to just do a quick little show and tell on some of the cooler stuff that's happening in version 9. This is going to be hardly all encompassing, and nothing I'm going to show you here is going to be perfect or absolutely done, but still cool nonetheless. And if this is working right, I should be able to just talk on top of this. All right, so here we are on the new version 9 dashboard, and you can see the side actually drills in. It's a lot easier to get around on the sidebar. You kind of have a just show you the section that you want to be in. The file manager has been redesigned from the bottom up. So this interface is a little less floaty, a little bit more substantial. You can actually add filters that make sense. Paging's right here where you want it. It's easy to jump to specific folders, and we've actually put a little bit of love into how folders kind of come into the system, making it easier to put things in it. You'll see here as I'm uploading files, right down here at the bottom, I wonder if my mouse works too. Yeah, it's asking you where you want to upload the files. So it chooses whatever directory you're in, but you can choose a different directory, and you can even make a new one right here. So we've gotten rid of that second page, the incredibly tedious second page that would come up every time you upload a file. That's not going to happen. All right, so we just uploaded 3 files. We stuck them in the new folder here folder, and that's where they live. We don't have to see that weird overlay with put them in a set or anything like that. Take a quick breath here. What I didn't show in that video is each of those files actually has a detail page now as well, where you can, instead of all those little pop-up menus, you can get to all sorts of stuff. I wasn't confident that I wanted to show that given the amount of URLs that were in there, and this being a staging site and all. But that's a really compelling difference that we've got going on as well. All right, back to hitting play. We are working on a new gallery block that is going to go in the core. And part of the thinking here is, look, there are a lot of galleries in our marketplace, and every one of them has to start with building a basic interface for just adding images, right? So galleries in our mind, like that's mostly about the front end experience, right? Can you give me some masonry grid and this and that and the other? And so to have to rebuild all of this where I'm picking files and choosing what order they go in, that seems kind of tedious for every developer to do. So our thinking was, look, if we put a gallery in the core and we made it really simple to extend and kind of a flexible interface, hit pause real quick, that other folks could use this as a starting point. Perhaps you could just build custom templates for this, and that would get you pretty far down the way. Or you could you could take a copy of this, fork it, and have a really good starting point for a gallery. And that kind of speaks to our philosophy on content management systems as a whole, that it's really about that relationship between a developer and a content creator. And if we're talking about functionality that 80% of content creators would want, we should probably be thinking about folding that into the core. So these days, if you ask a prospective client, hey, are you going to want an image gallery on this site, you're probably going to get a yes. So there's only so much time in the day, and we always have to be thoughtful about starting things we can't finish. But this one seemed like low-hanging fruit and a good opportunity to kind of get the framework right, so everybody could enjoy the benefit of a nice back-end interface for an image gallery. So what's going on here is the images in the gallery are up top. As you select one, you get details about it. You can quickly get to the attributes for that image. So this will bring up that detail file manager page. So if you want to change the alt tag, things like that are really tied to the image and would affect the image elsewhere on the site, you can get there from here. If there are gallery specific options for this image, in this case, do we want to display it wide or small? Those are right here. There's 2 other tabs for kind of general settings for the gallery. Not done like this. You should be able to drag and drop for sort order. These buttons are in the wrong order. So there's little tweaks that we're still working on here. This is still very much in progress, but it is it's cool and we like it. So there's the gallery. And I think the next thing I'm going to show you is the actual living Example of containers. So if you tune into these town halls, you will have heard Andy and I talk about containers a lot in the beginning of the year. You can see they now exist. I'm pointing at my screen. They exist over there. You can, instead of adding a block, you can add a container. And, I think the simplest way to think about this is it's just a highly stylized layout. So, we just drop this in the page. We got some new block areas. There's some colored gradients happening in the background. I can now add blocks to that container, and I'm going to get a consistent look and feel. And so you can really start to think of your site as atomic design elements. You can build a container for each one of those design elements, really define which block areas go where, tighten up styling around that, even choose to kind of limit what the client can do in there. And it's just a lot less hands-on to kind of build out sites in different ways. You can use containers instead of having to make bespoke blocks. In the past, we found ourselves making specific blocks for this kind of stuff a lot. Like if we saw this in a comp a lot, this gray versus blue thing, we would almost make a 2-column block, and that just, it felt really it felt draped on. It felt like an accidental solution to the problem. So containers gives you that ability to do more strictly styled sub layouts or atomic design elements and reuse them throughout your site. And we are pretty excited about it. So that's what I've picked out of here to show you in version 9. There's all sorts of other stuff, but those are kind of some of the highlights that are worth talking about today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, I think. Boop, aha, great. And if I get out of there, yeah, that is the show and tell. So I think it's challenging to do without Corbin. We have moved through our town hall agenda, and we have reached a point where we stop talking incessantly and we try to answer any questions if any have emerged. So excuse my meandering attention, but I'm going to go look at Slack here. Any things that we should be talking about this month beyond, hey, can we get version 9 wrapped up and looking good? Bootstrap 4 is stable. Bootstrap 5 is in alpha. What version is C5 version 9 going with?
Oh, where do you even see this?
Well,
Oh,
Jack's got a reply. Is all
gotcha.
Yeah.
Version 9 is going with Bootstrap 4 for the exact reasons that you mentioned. From what I understand, and obviously these things are always subject to change, but Bootstrap 5 is focused a lot on dropping jQuery as a dependency, which we're not quite ready to do yet. That's definitely something that we're cognizant of, and we try to limit our jQuery usage for new JavaScript stuff. It's definitely something that the core requires, and that's not going to be changing in version 9 because this is more of a interface refresh than a wholesale rethinking of how everything works together. But so Bootstrap 5 is on our radar for the next major version of concrete5. And if it's not Bootstrap 5, it might be our own internal components being used more than Bootstrap. But yeah, as for right now, there are no plans to switch away from Bootstrap 4 for version 9. Bootstrap has a pretty long dev cycle as well. So much like version 8, I would expect that there will be a very early Bootstrap 5 release that probably coincides right with concrete5 version 9. But that, that makes sense because these things are, it takes a while for these technologies to mature. So we're happy with we're happy with just getting to Bootstrap 4, to be perfectly honest.
Let's see. They're asking about 855.
Yeah, I see that.
Rescan. Yeah.
That is definitely on our radar. It was something we were gonna fast track, and I haven't seen quite as much need to do that. So it's definitely still something we're going to do before version 9. It's not going to be something that we get to before August, but I would expect that sometime in August we'll do 855.
Nice. I'm seeing a question in our actual StreamYard chat. Okay, chats everywhere. Minority Report here. I'm having problems when using the dashboard to apply update, as it says there are no updates. The update URL returns null. This affects multiple sites for me. Is this a known issue, and is there a fix?
Yeah, it's an issue because we usually don't push out updates until we're reasonably certain that everything is gonna go super smoothly. So we let manual updaters handle updating using downloading tools and Composer and stuff like that before we sort of bring it out to everyone through the dashboard tool. So I would expect that the auto updater would be set to work for version 8.5.5. And in the meantime, easiest way is to probably just follow the updating instructions from the download page or use Composer for your updating.
What version are we automatically sending out to that URL?
Probably 8.5.1. I would imagine that was the most stable, longest one before 8.5.2. Yeah.
Yep. So Alex, if you're earlier than 8.5.1, then maybe there's something else going on. I know sometimes there's like
that's true. You sometimes have to
firewall
manually update.
issues
Yeah.
or, yeah, things like that. But that's a good one for Slack as well. I'm sure people can help if there's something just going on in terms of network. Ooh, go back over to this window. Okay. We have a few projects built with Bootstrap 4 on version 8. What type of rework refactor should we anticipate with version 9 for Bootstrap 4? So this is kind of like the jQuery's built-in problem of, hey, it's cool that I've got jQuery, but not really because I've used jQuery in my own way. If people have used Bootstrap 4 on an existing version 8 site, should they be worried about what will happen with version 9?
I mean, I would think that in a general way, it would probably work better because it's less likely that core that's less likely that CMS, like the toolbar and edit interfaces, will collide in strange ways, because Bootstrap 3, some of its classes don't, with Bootstrap 4, there might be some collisions with incompatible grid systems and things like that. So I would expect actually Bootstrap 4 to be smoother for you in version 9 than in version 8. Now that might be, if you've done, depending on how you built your theme, there might be some bumpiness migrating to that, but I would think on the whole, like custom blocks will work a lot better. Things will feel a lot more uniform since you're not juggling two versions of Bootstrap simultaneously.
Yeah. When we do release version 9, which will be sometime still out,
yeah,
I would certainly recommend, taking a snapshot of that site and upgrading it in a sandbox environment because it is a major version release. So.
Yeah, I am planning on doing some kind of a public beta at some point probably in the fall time, I would imagine. It would probably not include marketplace support, not include the multi-site support to be turned on, but definitely something you could use to test your themes against, test your sites against. And also we've got we're kind of championing a new way to build themes in version 9 called Bedrock, which has some documentation already up in the developers section of our documentation site. So that's one of those things where you could, when that beta is out, you can take a look at, hey, maybe switching my theme to use this approach is going to save me a lot of headache because I'll be able to easily include Bootstrap 4 without having to jump through a bunch of hoops. So that's one reason why I want to get that going in the third quarter of this year as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right. Anything else at all, Jess? We're all very much under the gun here. So if we don't have other questions to answer, I'm going to let you get back to typing at incessantly fast speeds, Andy. All right. Well, I think we're going to call this a short and sweet town hall here. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for all the volunteer contributions that you guys have been doing, helping with version 9. Really very, very exciting. It's, Andy and I were reflecting the other day, like, I don't think we've worked on a release that is this, what's the word? Like tidy or all encompassing kind of like interface cleanup. There's just so many corners that we've been able to get into and just kind of, hey, this would make a lot more sense if you didn't have this weird floating blue question mark, but you just put it in the main toolbar that you already have. Silly. Like there's just a lot of things like that I think have been kind of sins that we have lived with for years that we finally have carved out the time to get right. So I know it's low and slow, but I think it's well worth it when you look at the kind of the crisp, clean, and pleasure to use system that is coming together in a version 9 now. So I'm going to let you get back to it, and thank you everybody for tuning in, and talk to you again in a month.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.